I remember this. I don't remember all the details because it's just so inane. But I remember if you wanted to, the Dolphins. Well, that's the Dolphins. You can't name your team the Dolphins. That's just being me, because Dolphins are gentle, kind people, and you have a football team named the Dolphins, and people think the Dolphins are going to think the Dolphins are aggressive and cruel and they deserve to be killed. This is what they thought. And so now we're told that, this is not the first time. Remember not too long ago, I think this was also in the 90s, that the term squaw, the word squaw, was being erased from maps all across the country. Everybody, if the Squaw Valley, Squaw Town, Squaw this, Squaw that, if it had the word squaw that was the name of that town, river, county, whatever, everybody was changing it because it was so offensive to name something squaw. Well, but now I understand. Now, nobody was being disowned, and you weren't being kicked out of national parks, and there was, nobody was saying you couldn't sell something that said squaw on it. But now all of a sudden, if you have this Confederate battle flag, because it is so evil and so racist that nobody can have anything to do with it, so says the liberal totalitarians out there. And if you run afoul to the liberal totalitarians and you do not want to change your name, which they think is offensive, like Redskins, well, I don't know, but yeah, is the Indians, what is it? The Indians next? Any team named Indians going to be next? Braves, Atlanta Braves, anybody? Well, there's a lot of teams called Braves. Are the Braves going to be next? Remember the tomahawk chop? Was that the Redskins? In the stadium, the tomahawk, every time score or a great play happened, and there was that was called offensive by the liberal totalitarians. I mean, I'm surprised that somebody didn't say. Remember the wave that was big for a while? I'm surprised somebody didn't say that the wave was racist or bigoted towards the ocean or something. Look, these people are totally nuts, and they try. They want to control your speech. We've even heard some Republicans talk about, maybe it's time that we revisit the First Amendment and start restricting some hate speech. The problem is who's going to dictate what's hate speech and what isn't hate speech? Well, I guess Redskins are hate speech, so you can't name your team the Redskins, because if you do, and you've had it for 80 plus years, and you've had, nearly 80 years of protection for your brand, well, and all of a sudden, well, now you don't have it anymore. So anybody can rip you off. How would you like to wake up one day and everything that you've stood for and worked for, because somebody all of a sudden felt it in their heart that it was just, offensive, that you can't use it anymore and you're not going to get the same kind of legal protection anymore? Think about that for a second. And what's next? The Fighting Irish? Is that? Oh, no, you can't name that the Fighting Irish. That's racist. That's bigoted towards Irish people. Look, don't doubt me on that. That's probably coming too. I don't. Well, it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame is Irish, right? But would they be so if the Washington Redskins? This is what they should do. If they wanted to get around this and throw it back in their face, this is what they should sell a good steak. No, don't even just as a goodwill. Give a portion of the team. Just pick a tribe. Well, where are the Redskins? And, where they're located. Is that close to Cherokee? Old Cherokee territory? That might. I don't know. Cherokee territory. Give a part of the team to the Cherokees. If Cherokee accept it, is that now racist? If Cherokees are calling them Redskins, hey. The N-word isn't racist when black people use it, so is Redskins racist when Native Americans use it? I'm asking the question. I'm not saying that it is or isn't. I'm asking, if we go by liberal standards and it's okay for a black person to use the N-word, is it then okay for a Native American to use the R-word? Are we going to call it the R-word now? Redskins is not. Yeah, I'm gonna be safe. Well, no, I don't have to be safe because I am part Cherokee and Osage, so I guess I can say Redskin. But other people, they can't say it. So if you don't have any Native American in you, Elizabeth Warren, you have to say the R word. Just like the N word, it's now the R word. That's bad. You can't say the R word. Because some liberal totalitarianist has decided that the R word is racist, bigoted, and offensive. Just like the S word. Well, what was the S word, right? Squaw. Squaw. You can't say squaw anymore. It's the S word. Now, the cancellation of the NFL team's business protections is hailed by activists as a huge victory. But however, here's something that's good for them. It doesn't go into effect until the team has exhausted the appeals process in the federal court system. And Redskins president Bruce Allen vowed Wednesday that the team would appeal. We are convinced that we will win on appeal as the facts and the law are on the side of our franchise that has proudly used the name Washington Redskins for more than 80 years. I mean, how do we get to this point? Can somebody this is not enlightenment, by the way. I know some people say, well, this is the 21st century. We're enlightened now. No, that's bullshit. We're not enlightened. This just goes to show how stupid that we can get. And it really, if you just have, this is how this stuff comes about. What happens is that a liberal will get this idea and they will go around until they find someone or something to fit that idea. And if they find that one person or that one thing that fits that idea, they will run with it. It's kind of like, what was that pizza? Memories Pizza. Remember that? No, not too long ago. About, would not cater pizza for a wedding. Would not cater a gay wedding. But see, they never said that. They never went out there and said, nobody ever went in to ask for them to cater any wedding, let alone a same-sex wedding. The activists, were looking for a patsy. And they were going door to door, and they happened to, their shadow fell upon Memories Pizza door and when Memories Pizza's owner said, well, no, we wouldn't do that, they said, aha, we gotcha. So what happened is they went around and said, there's got to be Native Americans around here who think the name Redskins is offensive. So they went around and they asked. And when they found a tribe or some Native Americans who could prove that they are Native American that were offended, they said, aha! See? They're offended by this. It's not that anybody is openly offended or resisting any of this crap. It's that the liberals are running around trying to find somebody in order to fit their pretense so they can make a big deal about it. And when they find somebody that fits that pretense, the lamestream media will fall in lock, stock, it just fall in right behind it and say, see, yes, this is, we want to be a more inclusive society, and this is keeping people from being inclusive. So yeah, I look at some people and they talk about, well, why does Texas think they have to pass a law that religious freedom's protection? They don't have to worry about that. Oh no. Well, we have people trying to sue different churches and clergy, about forcing them to officiate same-sex weddings, or hey, if you don't do it, then maybe we should take away your tax-exempt status. The IRS should step in and take away your tax-exempt status. Hello, and you try to tell them, hey, blacks don't en masse do not believe that gay marriage is the same thing as civil rights. They don't think so. They don't find that correlation. And then they'll tell you, well, no, you're wrong. You don't understand racism then, and bigotry, and civil rights then. And these are white people telling me that I don't understand. Well, I guess, more than 80% of the black community doesn't understand then, because, but no matter what poll you look at or where, if it's put up for a vote somewhere and blacks go to the polls, more than 80, almost kind of like, who voted for, blacks voting for Obama, more than 80% saying, oh, hell no. Plain and simple. And that's just the truth. You could agree with it or not agree with it, but the point is that they do not view it as a civil right. Plain and simple. But, what they'll do is they'll go out and they'll find one, gay person who happens to be black, African American, and say, see, it's a civil rights issue. And then the mainstream media will run around and run with that story. This is a civil rights issue. No, it's not. You made it up. You ran around until you could find one person or one entity or one company that fits the mold that you're trying to portray, and then you run with it and make it sound like it's the majority of everything everywhere. And it's far from it. This notion that Redskins is bigoted and offensive, there is a minute minority, even in the Native American community, that thinks that it's offensive. I mean, most people didn't even know what squaw meant, let alone be offended by it. Hey, the next thing you know, hey, speaking of TV shows that'll probably get pulled, Cosby show's already done. I'm not even going to talk about Bill Cosby. That's just a shocker to me, and, it is what it is. But, the Dukes of Hazzard gets pulled. Well, next thing you probably, TV Land, if they still have it, or whoever's showing, is probably going to start pulling the Lone Ranger. Tonto is going to be offensive. Ow, Kimosabi. I don't doubt me on this, folks. I wouldn't be surprised if you went around and one day you hear in the news, with excitement. Yeah. Because all I got from there was excitement in the writing of the reporting of them pulling the Dukes of Hazzard from TV Land, and they're going to have the same type of excitement if they pull the Lone Ranger. No more Tonto. Tonto is offensive. Wasn't there a Lone Ranger movie? There was a recent new Lone Ranger movie, wasn't there? Something like it, right? I don't even remember who starred in it. Was it Robert? Was it? No, oh, yeah, it was Johnny Depp was in it. Johnny Depp, yeah, Lone Ranger Johnny Depp. Yeah, I'm surprised Johnny Depp isn't being blasted for being offensive for playing Tonto. Oh, but wait, Johnny Depp, he's a good liberal. I don't. He doesn't often talk about his politics, but he seems to be a good liberal. So that's okay if Johnny Depp plays. He's bringing to light the offensiveness and the stereotypes, the bad stereotypes of Native Americans in his portrayal of Tonto in the Lone Ranger. That's what they'll say about it. But anybody else, no. Tonto does not say how, because Indians don't say how. That's not an Indian word. How. And Kimosabi is not an Indian word. That's all made up Hollywood stuff. And they didn't wear all the clown makeup and stuff. It's all bad. Well, Tonto kind of looked like a ghost, didn't he? He had dressed up as I don't know. I'm just surprised that, I'm surprised that they're not picketing theaters that showed the Lone Ranger. I'm surprised we don't have protest from these idiotic liberals at movie theaters that have showed movies that were offensive and bigoted and racist, and forcing the movie theater owners to apologize for what the movies that they've shown, and to never show a movie like that again. I'm surprised. Hey, Kid Rock is being targeted. How many other musicians are going to be targeted? How many movie theaters? This is not going to stop here, folks. Don't doubt me on it. Don't.